Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. It's time for another opinion piece. Today I'm going to share 6 cards that were doing fine. They're at the top of their game. They're enjoying some high use rates in the game, and then Supercell hit them with a dirty death sentence hammer, taking them from more than viable from meta to just absolutely 0% use rates. So I'm curious as to what you guys are going to think of my list in the comments. And you know what, to give credit where credit is due, it's been a long time and there hasn't been a ton of these examples where a card goes from amazing to absolutely useless, and the game is actually pretty well balanced right now. But it can be particularly frustrating when Supercell drops the nerf hammer, especially on free-to-play friendly cards, because people invest their time and their gold and sometimes their money investing in those cards, upgrading them, and then a death sentence nerf can definitely render them useless and render the Clash Royale players extremely aggravated. So let's go ahead and jump into the list, starting at number 6. So number 6 on the list is going to be Zap Ease. Now I love Zap Ease. They're one of my favorite cards, but according to my OJ and Seth, the Supercell designer, interview, he said that he was not a fan of the card and he let us know about it.
Yeah, okay, well, I will be completely transparent with you. I find Zap Ease to be, when they are working, to be one of the least fun cards to interact with in the game. The stun locking can be very frustrating, so I think that is a card, and I think just as a general rule, I don't want cards to be very prominent in the meta that their mechanics are, your cards don't work.
Now, to be fair, they were too strong and they deserved a nerf, but man, did they go a bit overboard in my opinion at least. So we look back at the nerf and it wasn't even technically a nerf. They called it just a rework. It wasn't under the nerfs or the buffs, just a slight change to the reload mechanics. Man, it seems totally benign. No big deal. They're just changing, making them a little bit less aggravating with their stun lock and the reload mechanics. Sounds good to me. But then when you took Zap Ease into the arena, boy was the change palpable. Boy, could you tell that Zap Ease are just not what they used to be, ladies and gentlemen. So Zap Ease definitely have not been the same since. Sure, some people still use them for success, but they've certainly never seen the use in the win rates as they did before that rework, and hopefully they will see it again in the future. But right now, Zap Ease, they're just in the very bottom 10% in terms of card use and win rates. However, I still am a fan of the cards. Let's move on to number 5. So number 5 is our most recent change. It's also the most brief change in between a card being dead and then viable again, or in this case, viable, dead, viable, all in the span of about a week. But this was an absolute death blow to Rascals. And that's right, it's the latest balance changes. Now, I thought about not including this on the list, but at the end of the day, I wanted to include it just to show how much these small, kind of like Zap Ease, these small changes to a card can have a dramatic effect. And it's another card that's free-to-play friendly. It's a common card, and a lot of my viewers, I know from the comments, invested a lot of their gold into upgrading the Rascals, which also go well with Mortar, which is another free-to-play friendly win condition. So what did they do to the Rascals? Well, no big deal. All they did was they changed the deployment fashion of the Rascals so that the girls would deploy before the boy Rascal. But that had a dramatic impact. Just a few weeks ago when everybody started playing them inside the game, they were like, no, everything is targeting the girls before the boy now. The boy can no longer tank for them, and it's just a bad scene for the Rascals. Even if there's a Dark Goblin or something coming down the lane, they will attack, and the Dark Goblin will attack when they're deployed the girl Rascals before the boy Rascal. They just took all the power out of the card. It was a very brief death sentence. They were on life support for a second, but thanks to an emergency patch just last week, they were restored to the brilliance that they once were. So, albeit a very short-lived or short death, I don't know, it was a short death for the Rascals. They were rejuvenated, but I do stand by that was a dramatic nerf that I'm not sure Supercell really intended when making that change to the deployment order of those cards within the Rascals. That's why they come in at number 5. Let's take a look at number 4. Number 4 was the Magic Archer. I don't have a lot to say about this one, except for another change that was kind of sold to us as, I don't know, sort of a rework. It was put down as a nerf, but, you know, all they did was they changed the exact text was, first attacks will be slower. Well, first attacks will be slower, no big deal as long as he has the same fire rate, right? No. Part of the value, as we know in hindsight now, is that the Magic Archer switching targets happens really frequently with the card. Now, a lot of people consider Magic Archer one of the more fun legendary cards to play. It was considered on the higher end of the skill threshold in the game. So when Supercell came in and made that change to the retargeting speed of the Magic Archer, it took him from definite hero to zero inside the meta. He was everywhere before that change, and they've given him a couple buffs since then, but he's never been back to his original form before they instituted that nerf back in November of 2018. That's why Magic Archer comes in at number 4 on our list. Alright guys, now we're going into the top 3. This is the big stuff. These are the really severe nerfs, and we're gonna start at number 3 with the Mega Knight. So back in January of 2018, over a year ago, the Mega Knight received an unprecedented nerf at the time. He got a 25% nerf to his jump damage, what? 25% nerf to his jump damage, and also his deployment hit radius was also reduced. No doubt the Mega Knight was strong, but this was an absolute death blow to the card. After this, he's seen numerous buffs, but he's never again gotten back to the strength that he once had back in 2017 before this severe nerf came down on him in January of 2018. The Mega Knight is still a fun card, and he's a really popular card, but he hasn't been as meta, as viable, as strong as he was before that huge nerf. And after that nerf, man, did his use rates and his win rates both absolutely plummet. I don't think that anybody can make a good counter argument for that not being a death blow to the Mega Knight at the time. Coming in at number 2 is the Royal Recruits. Now, a very odd death sentence compared to the other ones here on the list, because the Royal Recruits actually were introduced to the game via a special challenge, which is the normal mechanism, the normal vehicle that Supercell uses to deliver these new cards to us in the game. But before they had the official release a few weeks later, they instituted an emergency nerf for the recruits, which were, at the time, only 6 elixir. Only 6 elixir for the Royal Recruits. What were they thinking? That was absolutely insane. They were so strong. They were so dominant that they really had a part in every single deck in the game. Every archetype played recruits. Everybody played recruits. Recruits were absolutely everywhere, and it was one of those cards that you could just tell, even in the very first challenge, man, these are broken. This card is broken. However, with that said, in this emergency nerf, I think Supercell might have overreacted, and it might have been on purpose. Maybe they didn't like the fact that this new card, which was relatively on the low skill side of the game, of the skill cap range of all the cards, maybe they didn't want it to affect CRL, maybe they didn't want it to be this OP and dominating in the game, which I can't blame them for. So at the time, they put that emergency nerf inside the game, but they raised the elixir all the way to 8. And that was a death blow to the card for a long time afterwards. Now they've buffed them a few times since that big nerf. +2 elixir, that's insane. That is insane. +1 elixir is pretty severe a nerf. +2, forget about it. At the time, I had wanted Supercell to maybe make it 7 elixir, maybe exercise a little moderation, but they went right for the death hammer and brought them up to 8 elixir, and then the use rates were below 1% for a long time afterwards. That's why Royal Recruits comes in at number 2 on our list. Alright, so coming in at number 1 is particularly sensitive to me at this point, at this day, because I woke up this morning, like I do every day, and I checked out the Clash Royale subreddit, and this is the number 1 post in the world. It's one of those moments that, hey, it's me. I'm the number 1 post. That's so cool. And then you look at it and you're like, oof. Exactly. Oof. As you guys can see on the screen right now, last year I put out a video saying these cards would be nerf proof, and boy was I wrong. I was absolutely wrong. Here I am, foot in mouth, eating my crow. CWA made an oopsie.
Wouldn't it be great if you oopsied a like on this video and shared it with all your family and friends and everyone that you know? Oopsie!
Yeah, it was not good, guys. I said that Three Musketeers were nerf proof because I think this is one of those situations where Supercell was like, here, hold my beer. I got this. Because they were certainly not nerf proof. I was wrong again. Three Musketeers got reinstituted back to 10 elixir, where they were when they were originally introduced to the game. But when they were originally introduced to the game, we had an invisible 11th elixir to use. Now, not only are they adding that one elixir, as you guys know, but man, it's actually more than that. It actually costs 10.5, sometimes close to 11 elixir, whether you're playing them in single or double elixir time, to cast your Three Musketeers, because you have to leak elixir in order to play the card. Now, if that is not the definition of broken in a bad way, I don't know what is. There's an inherent invisible elixir cost attached to the Three Musketeers. Now, a lot of players are actually really happy about this. A lot of players do not like Three Musketeers, and they felt like the meta is a lot better since Three Musketeers have been, well, dead, right, inside the game. But there's a lot of players out there too, especially the free-to-play players, who I'm always sensitive to their concerns because I hear from them all the time in my YouTube comments, that invested a lot of gold into upgrading the Three Musketeers, right? And it's just, that's unfortunate, right? Because when you make Three Musketeers your go-to, your main archetype, and you want to build up a deck to supplement them, and then that one card, the win condition in that deck, is nerfed to this extent, to this degree, ooh, it's not a good thing. And I feel for those players. As someone who was previously a Three Musketeer player, I think they could have nerfed the card in other ways. But there's good news for Three Musketeer enthusiasts, bad news for Three Musketeer haters out there in the near future. In the Seth Supercell interview that I had, he said that he does intend to bring the Three Musketeers back to 9 elixir, thus perhaps ending their death sentence. But for now, yeah, Three Musketeers, not so good. Not so good, guys. So what cards did I leave out on my list? Which cards were you happy that got the death sentence? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Always curious to hear your opinions after videos like these. Much love for watching all the way till the end. A huge shout out to Clash Royale, where I got the stats for this video. And of course, to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys.